But I hope not.
Come on, machine. Let's just take a second. Yes, here we are, Super Bowl 55. It finally here, Sunday morning, prop till you drop. And we are having a blast with that. It's going to be a great day. Let me click to the right page. There we are. And here we are, Emil Kadlec with the Fantasy Football Degenerate. Jen Ryan, how are you today?
Good. I'm so excited for the game. It's a good thing the game isn't up here at MetLife like it was a few years ago, because we got 1.5 feet of snow earlier in the week and another 8 inches going on right now. So much better weather down in Tampa. Should make these props a little bit easier to project.
Yeah, that would have been absolutely crazy. I don't know what we'd have done. But yeah, it would have been a lot of fun. It's great to do Super Bowl Sunday, and of course we're teamed up with ThriveFantasy.com. They got a contest that actually use prop bets as your DFS lineup, which is really unique. I've never heard that before, although I'm usually locked in my room and don't know things. So we're going to whip through those things. We've got a little bit of delay on our internet, probably maybe the snow, you never know. So sometimes we'll see a delay to Jen, but don't worry about it. It usually only takes a few seconds. So hey, let's start with the very first input. None other than Patrick Holmes. Whoops, just a second here. It got carried away. The computer got carried away. There we are. Patrick Holmes. All right, waiting for Jen. There she is. I'm not where sure Jen is. Maybe we're having more trouble than we thought we would. You there, Jen?
Oh,
hello.
Are you there, Emil?
Yes. Okay, we got Patrick Holmes ready to go on your prop.
Hi. Sorry, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, hear you great.
Awesome. All right, cool. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like, sticking with our theme, we don't really like unders, at least I don't, right? So every bet that I'm taking out of this prop that we're building, and I'm sure you mentioned it, but it's basically Thrive is offering 20 different props, and you pick 10. And it's based on a point system, which is super cool. Never seen anything like it before. So, of course, just to sort of fit my betting style, anything you see here, I would have gone with the over, of course. And Mahomes, again, what I really like about this prop, this is 320 and a half total yards, right? So it's passing and rushing yards. I mean, he's not going to put up Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson rushing totals, but, let's say he throws for 300 yards, he's very easily could run for 21 yards. I really like this prop. I'm also parlaying on a separately a Mahomes rushing touchdown. So those rushing yards will help add up with it too. I don't know. I'm expecting a ton of points in this game, Emil. I like him for like 350 yards. So it wouldn't surprise me if he went over 400.
Wow, that sounds good. So you're going over on most of these, and notice it's interesting they have the points, the over and the under points there. So as you accumulate your DFS lineup, you make sure and look at those over and under points, and then compare them to other props that you want to put in. There's 20 props in the Thrive Fantasy Contest. You can use 10 of the 20, and of course you can go over and under. Of course, we're preaching over, of course. So how about the next? Did you cover both the fantasy for Patrick?
Right, and it's these points are very system to Sorry, Emil, say it one more time.
Oh, did you cover both Patrick's props here on this slide? I was busy trying to figure out our delay.
Yeah, there's a bit of a connection issue, but I think we could work with it. Yeah, so the points are very similar to odds, like a book would give you, right? So moving to Mahomes completions, right? 27.5 completions. The over is 110, where the under is 90 points. So the under is more likely to hit, but pretty close to what we would call even money. And again, as I mentioned here, he's super efficient. It's one I'm not necessarily going with. Like, even though I'm projecting all these points and all this passing, I do think the running game is going to be a factor. This isn't just to have completions. It's just a lot for me. So this is not a building, but it's a very, very tight line with being Mahomes' average.
Sounds good. All right, we're going to go to the next slide, and also, since we're having a little delay between you and I, if I may just start flipping to the next slides without communicating, we'll see how that goes. So off to Daryl Williams we go.
Here. Yeah, so again, the running backs, I just mentioned I thought they might be a nice factor in this game. You remember Damian Williams. He was a huge part of this Chiefs Super Bowl win last year. This over 48.5, that's not a ton of yards. He's certainly likely to come close to it, but we have to acknowledge that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still there. It's sort of why I like this rushing touchdown prop a little bit better. I feel a little bit more comfortable betting a touchdown. It's a bit of a dog bet, as I mentioned, but I'm taking it. The great things about touchdowns, it's either going to happen or it's not. You're only betting one outcome. Williams doesn't have a ton of red zone carries, just 4 to Edwards-Helaire's 28. But he has been the guy during this postseason. So, when they're down on the goal line, we'll see if he gets the call. And, of course, if it's Mahomes, we're going to hate this. We're going to hate this prop right here.
All right, let's assume we're still having delay, so I'm just going to magically switch to the third slide for you, Jen.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about this connection. Travis Kelsey, it's unbelievable just how consistent he has been. It's every week. He does the same thing every week, which is he catches a ton of balls and he puts up a ton of yards. Just looking at the playoff games, in the 2 playoff games, 227 receiving yards. I mean, that's ridiculous. And if you go all the way back to week 8, he's been hitting this prop 6 of his past 8 games. That's excluding the playoffs, and we just mentioned what he's done so far in the playoffs. And I mentioned here, if Kelsey doesn't go for over 100 yards, I don't see how the Chiefs win this game. He is like such a focal point of this offense. If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, I think there could be some conversation about them giving the MVP to the quarterback, but perhaps maybe the type of game that Kelsey's likely going to have would deserve it. And 7.5 receptions, I mean, years ago this would be like a Julian Edelman line, something like that. And still, it's fine for Kelsey. I know it sounds like a lot of catches, but it's not. If he has 8 catches, we would be disappointed in him this week. That's his worst week lately. So I think you could go ahead and you can bet it with confidence. And the book agrees. You could tell by the point system.
Yeah, hard to not have Kelsey in your lineup here. All right, off to the next slide. Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's great. It's like every single player on this team, you could just say so much about their ability and what they're able to do. Because I believe that Kelsey is just going to be such a dog in this game. I am staying away from the Tyreek props just a little bit. But again, Tyreek Hill could do this on 3 plays. He's just that type of receiver. But there's other props that Thrive Fantasy is offering that I'm more interested in for what we're building here. Sorry, my pets are going insane. Give me 1 second, Emil. I'm just give me 1 second. I'm so sorry.
I think the cats are saying they like Tyreek Hill, so maybe go with both those props for Tyreek, given the cats' input.
The cats are going to go get thrown outside on the hill that I have if they don't shut up. But what I say again, what I really like is Tyreek to score. Like I feel so much more confident that again, I'm at a ton of points. I know the line's 56.5 in this game. I'm betting at 59.5. I just put in a bet this morning at 64 points. I am expecting 30 points from each team, and that is going to require a lot of scoring. So that's why, as part of the prop team that I build on Thrive Fantasy, I went with the touchdown rather than his receptions. I feel much more confident in him scoring than I do in him going over 85 yards.
Sounds good. Those are going to be fun. All right, off to the next one here. If I can find the right button. Bingo. We've got Hardman here and a kicker. Interesting.
Oh, yeah. Well, we went through all of them. I went through all of them just so we could kind of have a little bit of analysis on everything. So before I even get into Hardman, I feel like I need to sort of explain the ice bets that Thrive is offering. So, again, there's 20 props available. You pick 10 to put together the most optimal bets that you have, right? But they're offering 2 ice bets, which are your in case of emergency. So if for some reason any player that you have associated with a prop, for some reason, if he happens to not suit up for the game, I interpret that as even pull something, God forbid, in a pregame warm-up. If somebody doesn't suit up for the game, they'll sub in one of your ice bets. So this low line at 33.5 for Hardman made a ton of sense to me to play as an ice bet. Let's say, God forbid something happens where Tyreek Hill doesn't suit up today. Now you've got a guy who's going to slide in, and all you need is 34 yards out of it. And this, as a standalone bet, I think is a really good bet for Hardman, too. 33.5 yards for a player who is a factor in probably the best offense in football is really not asking much.
Wow, that's really a great idea. I love that.
Yeah, hopefully it's a good hedge. But listen, everybody passed their tests. I saw it on TV this morning. Everyone's a go, so we're not in danger of anything missing this game. And then as far as the kicker, I'm not telling you guys what, but me personally, stay away from both of the kickers, both of these teams. I mean, these guys have struggled mightily over the past couple weeks. In fact, one of my favorite props being offered on pretty much every sports book is for any kick to hit the goalpost. I feel super confident in that just because of how inconsistent these kickers have been. My whole take with kickers is you have one job, you've been doing the same thing your entire life. I have no idea how you miss. And these guys have had their share of issues. So, sorry, there's some construction going on next door, too.
You got everything going over there on a Sunday morning. It's beautiful. Yeah,
And a blizzard. I'm so sorry. And a blizzard.
Not a problem. No, it's great. I can understand people thinking about a kicker because every once in a while, but that's the problem. It's every once in a while a kicker will get 14 plus points, but it's such a rarity. This kind of format we're talking about with Thrive, it would be like if you're going for a GPP or something, maybe that's a consideration. But all right, let me flip off to the next slide here. Tom Brady, the GOAT.
I don't know how many more times we're going to hear about how old Brady is and what Super Bowl it is for him. It's all the content. It's Brady, 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 Holmes. Listen, he could throw for 400 yards. He could throw for 500 yards. We know that, right? We know what he is capable of. My concern is that playoff Lenny, as everybody's been calling him, and again, I have to throw this in there. If he comes out in this game looking like Emmitt Smith, then I think we need to knock down Tom Brady's passing yards a little bit. However, this next prop for Brady, I absolutely love. I mean, this is 2.5 total touchdowns and interceptions, right? So Brady could throw 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 2 touchdowns, 1 picks, 3 touchdowns, and this prop still hits. This is a great prop. I love this. I haven't seen this anywhere else where you have a combination of the touchdowns and interceptions, and it's one of my favorite bets that Tri Fantasy is offering.
Yeah, I love this. I think this is great. Touchdowns plus interceptions. Now, the over is 80 points. You don't get quite as many points, obviously. But when you're trying to build these 10 props for your DFS lineup in this Thrive Fantasy contest, you obviously, you have to decide which ones you want to take risks at, and you're only getting 80 on this. But I think you got to get a lot of these things that have a higher probability of happening, even though you may not get as many fantasy points. So, that's a really exciting one. Okay, Leonard Fournette, kind of a sneaky guy the last few weeks that has performed.
It's so funny with Fournette because I feel like when the Bucks acquired him, like I was making fun of the people in my leagues who picked him up off of waiver, because I was like, oh God, give me a break, he's so washed up, and of course now he's with Tom Brady and Bruce Arians and this offense, and he's such a factor, especially the last couple weeks, like we said, plenty. I mean, everybody's kind of talking about it, and again, this is a combination, an all-purpose yard bet. It's a little high for me. I like him to score a little bit more than I like him to hit all of these yards. I mean, Ronald Jones still is a factor. But again, look at this touchdown. This isn't a rushing touchdown. This is a rushing or receiving touchdown. So if Leonard Fournette gets in the end zone, doesn't matter how he gets there, you're going to hit this prop. And that's the one that I prefer over his all-purpose yard prop.
Yeah, so you're going for the touchdown, rushing and receiving. I really agree. I love that they combine the rushing and the receiving. That kind of makes it more plausible to me to go over. And since we're such over people, that works really well. It's going to be interesting to see if Ronald Jones, and we'll get to Ronald Jones in a minute, can rear his ugly head and mess this all up. But that's what's fun about it all. Off to the next slide. Mike Evans twice.
Yeah, I mean, what's not to like about Mike Evans? He gets a lot of credit, but I feel like he doesn't get enough credit. I mean, he has been 1,000-yard receiver every year. He's playing in a huge game. He's playing with Tom Brady. I mean, we of course can acknowledge he's playing with the best quarterback he's ever played with in his entire life. I'm expecting a ton of points in this game. I'm expecting Evans to be a huge part of the reason why there's a ton of points this game. I feel like he's guaranteed to score pretty much every week. He's almost like the first look on the goal line, right? Like Brady loves throwing that slant to him down there, and even in the back corner in the end zone. He's just such a factor. Big playability, everything. I like this 63.5. I like it a lot. I also, I'm a little hesitant on the receptions. I think 5.5 is a lot. I mentioned here if this was 4.5, and I know that's only the difference of 1 catch, but if this was 4.5, I'd be a lot more on it. But Evans is just one of these guys where, he can turn 3 catches into 100 yards in a score. So I don't like him to necessarily rack up a ton of catches here, but I do like the yards, and I like him getting in the end zone.
Yeah, that's going to be a blast. The guy's a good guy. I mean, I was listening to Fitzmagic talk about him, or actually reading it recently, and he really had a lot of great things to say about Mike Evans. Not that matters about fantasy, but it's kind of nice to see the inside of players that are very humble and work hard, and that was just kind of a nice thing. Made me feel a bit better about the guy, because when he has those 0 games, that annoys me. That is very selfish. So, yeah, Godwin here. We got 2 on Godwin. And I don't know. I don't recall.
No, listen, I get it. He's adorable. Love him.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so because Godwin, if it was Evans and nobody else, I think I'd be very, very comfortable on every prop for Evans. But, I mean, Godwin, this is a team and has 2 wide receiver ones, I mean, really 3 when you throw in Antonio Brown. I mean, they're loaded. They're loaded at the position. I think he probably hits 75.5. I think he's the yardage guy. But as I say here, I've got so much riding on the overs for the Chiefs' passing attack because of this Leonard Fournette situation. So I'm kind of backing off the receiving yards here. However, I'm sure you're sensing a theme here. I'm loving the touchdowns because I'm loving all the scoring here. So give me a Chris Godwin touchdown. 100, love it. I think he scores. I think Evans scores. I think Leonard Fournette gets in there. If I'm projecting all of these points, then it makes a ton of sense for me to build my prop build here with the touchdown props.
Interesting. Yes, I like that. And I can't believe the over in a lot of Super Bowls. I'm going to flip the slide to try and fix the delay a little bit while I talk and finish this. A lot of Super Bowls, they've got time to plan. The offenses seem to have an edge. And so over the last 2 or 3, just glancing at those, I like the fact that you probably had to, push the over more than we do. And, of course, that's what we usually do anyway. But all right, here's our final 10th slide. Take it away, Jen.
So this is another ice prop for me, and in case of emergency prop, which is Ronald Jones. And again, I sort of like the logic of targeting a lower line as my emergency, right? But either way, again, as a standalone bet, I mean, it's so tempting. You see a running back on a high-scoring team with less than 50 yards, and, you want to hammer it. I'm staying with it just because when I do go with running back props, if there is a remote committee, I just stick to the touchdowns. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to pick the wrong guy, so I sort of stay away from the rushing yards. But this is, again, my ice prop, and my whole logic here is, let's say, God forbid, something happens to Fournette pregame, you're almost handcuffing him if you take this bet. And then just this kicker, again, I can't emphasize enough, guys, stay away from these kickers. They struggle. These kickers have both struggled. Again, unless you're betting that doink the ball to hit the goalpost, I just don't recommend it personally.
So no ice kicker for you today. No suck up or Harrison. So that's great stuff. Okay. What were there any unders as we went through those 20 props? Were there any unders that you would be considering in your 10 plays in the Thrive Fantasy DFS?
I would. The unders on both of the kickers' points. Definitely. And honestly, no, it is. I'm not putting money on kickers. It's just not happening. And honestly, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but Tom Brady's passing yards. Again, he is so capable of just blowing the lid off of it, but I think I just see a much more methodical approach. I see the running game. The Chiefs sort of invite the run, so I do see the running game being a little bit more effective. And Brady, with his efficiency, could still put up 3 touchdowns, no problem, but he could do it on 225 yards. If I bet unders, I would be putting the under on his passing yards, which of course means he's probably going to go 550 yards and break every Super Bowl record that's available.
Well, if they're behind, they may have to pass, which happened against Philadelphia. That Philadelphia one a few years ago was an insane Super Bowl. I don't know if we'll have something like that. So, past the props, Jen, who do you think's going to win this game straight up?
I have the Chiefs. The reason I have the Chiefs is just because we saw just last year in the playoffs, Chiefs were down 24-0. They come back to win by double-digit points. The Chiefs, my thing with the Chiefs is they're just never out of it. They're never out of it. They can score on every single drive. And I do think the slight difference between Brady and Mahomes is I think Mahomes, he gets hit a couple times. It doesn't really throw him off of his game, right? Tom Brady does not like being touched. If you can touch him a little bit early on, I think you can almost rattle him a little bit. With that said, this Bucs pass rush is going to give Mahomes an absolute headache today, which is sort of why I like his rushing props. I could see him being forced to scramble. But I have the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs winning. I think it's going to come down to last possession. Absolutely not a blowout, projecting a big shootout here. I just think that the Chiefs are going to score more points. Is what it's going to come down to. And like I said, I like 60 points in this game.
That's incredible. Yeah, the Mahomes 27.5 yards rushing, it does seem tempting from what you're talking about as far as them putting pressure on him. Maybe he's going to scramble. It's always fun to me to see how the coaches prep. They've got an extra week to prep, and of course they put tons of energy. I go back to Philadelphia versus New England and how Philadelphia came up with the trick plays, and the last drive by Brady, they finally got to him. They finally turned the ball over, and that won the game for Philadelphia. So I think it's really going to be fun to see, who's making these adjustments and can find a way to win this game. Another very important question to ask, food. What are you preparing today for the Super Bowl?
So normally, if there were no pandemic and if I didn't have 2 feet of snow outside of my house, I would be having an insane menu. But today, I think we're just going to keep it simple. I already made some Taylor ham, egg, and cheese omelet muffins, so those will be served. And I think I'm going to go with taco stuffed peppers.
Ooh, taco stuffed
peppers. Taylor ham, egg, and cheese omelet muffins.
Fantastic. That sounds great.
And taco stuffed peppers. Yeah.
I'm getting hungry, and I have to wait another 6 hours, well, whatever it is, 4 or 5 hours. It's a long time before the Super Bowl today. Yeah, as you know, I came in from Mexico. I've been in Mexico for.
It is. It's like, and this is like.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, I get such jitters leading up to the game.
Yeah, and again, we apologize. We have a 2 or 3 second delay, which isn't easy. But yeah, I just came back from Mexico for 2 weeks. My mother-in-law was under the weather, and we went out there and helped her out. And so I get in late last night, and I got to go. I'm going to make my classic chili con queso. And we run over to the stores, and it was like 2 minutes after 10, and they were all closed. Because I know now I got to hope I can get the ingredients today because, everybody's pounding the stores getting all the ingredients. So all fingers crossed if I get that. So yeah, one more. We wanted to reiterate the Thrive Fantasy contest. It's a really fun contest. It's a DFS using prop bets. Woohoo! Pick 10 out of the 20 as we discussed, and use that promo code Diehards. You can create first account creators. You can use that, and they match your funds up to $25, $50, whatever it is, $50, and you also get a free contest for their main big $10,000 contest. So it should be a lot of fun. I find that quite fascinating, and I'm really excited to see a DFS contest using prop bets. So what are your final thoughts, Jen?
My final thoughts are good luck to everybody today. I hope everybody wins a ton of money. And at the end of the day, with my Cowboys not being in this game, I'm just rooting for my numbers and my pools to come out.
Woohoo! Sounds good. Well, thanks a lot. I apologize to the audience that they had our small delay. We'll figure that out for the next show, but we got through it all. And I'm really excited. Thank you so much for your inputs. I can't wait to get my lineups. I got 4 hours to put another lineup in with the Thrive Fantasy, and got a lot of great input. So hopefully we'll do well. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you so